Hi, Cameron Messerschmidt here, PDGA number 58814. We're out here at the beautiful Milo MacGyver disc golf course for the Beaver State Fling here in 2018. I am newly on Prodigy Discs this season for the 2018 disc golf season. I'm carrying the BP1 right now, this year's BSF, and I'm going to show you what I have in here. Start with my putting putters. They are Team Stamp 350 PA3s. One of them's a flank stamp, one of them's a rainbow kind of shatter stamp. But yeah, this is just what I use for putting pretty much anything inside of 70 feet. Even if I'm just laying up from 80, 90, it's always just the 350 PA3s. My throwing putters start off with the Proto PA1. This one's real overstable and it has a lot of glide, so I can really throw it hard on a hyzer and get it to just hold and come back. And it's it really takes a lot of power for a putter, so it's really nice to have that. You can throw it in wind. Then I have the Banksy 350 PA3. This one's pretty straight to stable. It's not very worked in, so it's good for nice slow turn shots that just pan, or like nice flat shots that finish just a little bit left at the end. So this has been a good one. Just sits a little bit better than the PA1, different plastic. And then I got another 350 PA3, and this one's a little more beat up, slightly puddle topped, and this one flips a little bit. So if I want to get a nice long straight flight, flip it up the flat, I'll use the PA3. I have two approach discs here in the A series. I first have the 400 A1. This is pretty much one of the most overstable discs I carry in my bag. I can just hammer it flat or on an ante, and only thing it's gonna do as soon as it lets go is just start fighting back left. It's nice to have for distance control. I know if I throw it on a shot, I'm not gonna go too deep on any certain shot. If I'm just looking to, you know, get up and down from like 250 on maybe like, it's really good for islands, kind of just hits and grabs right where it is, you know, and it doesn't really get away from you. It's a really good disc. Then I have the 400 A2, and this is pretty much only for sidearms. It's really overstable, similar to like a gator type disc, and I like throwing this pretty much anywhere from 250 and in. Just, you know, smooth hyzers or flat or slight flexes, you know, maybe to get out of trouble here and there. But I really like the 400 A2 for that. Now I'm gonna start with the mid-ranges. The first one I have here is a 350G M3. It's pretty domey run of this disc, pretty stiff. I really like it. It's pretty beat up. It's good for hyzer flip to turn and just kind of hold that right angle, or really good for high, you know, floating right shots, hole 1 east in this course particularly. Just throw it really high and hard and it's never gonna do anything but turn over. It's a really good soft mid-range. I can power down on it and throw really soft 250 straight shots, and it's just a good all-around workable disc. Then I have the 400 M3, which this one's pretty straight as well. If I want something that's gonna finish a little bit left at the end for a mid-range, I'll go with this one. I'll throw it pretty much just flat to slight antes, maybe a little bit of hyzer. But with all my mids, they're all a similar stability. It's just the way they finish at the end, and this M3 just has a little bit more stability at the end for me. Then I have two of the 300S M2s. This pink one's pretty beat in, this green one's pretty new. Beat in, this fly is pretty much straight with a little bit of hyzer flip, and brand new, it's pretty much just straight with a slight finish at the end. They're really good for long ante turnovers, and once they're beat in, they're just really good. You can smash them on a hyzer and they'll just flip up the flat and ride and coast. So these are some of my go-tos right now, the 300S M2s. Then we'll get into the fairways. I have 4 of those in my bag right now. I have the 400 F5, and this one's actually pretty stable. It really only flips up to flat and holds. It won't turn over too much unless I throw a power grip. I will power grip these, and I will control grip these to get a different speed. On a control grip, it'll be a little more stable than a power grip. So I really like the F5 though, because this one, at least this certain run, is pretty stable, so it holds a good line, pretty straight. My F3 is a little flippier than that. I also power and control grip it. If I want it to be a little more stable, I'll use a control grip. If I want to get a nice turn, long turn out of it, I'll throw a little power grip on there. The H1 V2 is in my bag. kind of just a backhand hyzer disc. I like throwing it on a little bit of an ante as well for some tunnel shots, but it's really good on a flat to hyzer angle, and it's really got a consistent fade to it. I want to see how it flies once it gets beat in. And then one of my favorites right now is the 750 H2. This is a really good disc. Starts out pretty overstable, like a Firebird, and then it beats in a little straighter. But when I say straighter, I don't mean this thing's flipping at all. It'll hold if you give it to it and give it some power. But I've really been liking the H2, forehand and backhand. It's just a really reliable disc. Now I'll get into my forehand discs, which starts out with another 750 H2. This one is pretty much strictly for forehands. It's really overstable, and I like throwing it on little short, get out of trouble, get out of the wood type antes. And if I'm throwing it on a tee pad, it's usually pretty flat or maybe a slight anted shot. Really overstable, really like it. Even a little more beefy, Proto H1, a little more flat topped and even more overstable than that H2, which this is usually for forehand rollers. I find it really good. The more overstable you throw for a forehand roller, the longer it'll hold its line and its angle. So I really like the H1 for forehand rollers. I'll be using this on 4 East out here. It's a really good disc for that hole. And then we got the 400 D1. This one is pretty much strictly forehands. It's got a little bit of flip to it. I'll throw it about here and let it come up and turn over. This is one of my bigger distance forehand discs. I've really been liking the 400 plastic for the D1. This is a little gummier. I like stiff as well, but I can really get a good grip with my forehand on a little bit of gummier plastic. And then I have a Bowling Green D3 here, and these are very overstable, probably the most overstable disc I've thrown in the Prodigy lineup. If I need any kind of headwind shot or any, kind of low flare skip shot with a forehand, I'll be looking to my Bowling Green D3 for sure. And then let's finish up with some of the drivers. Start out with my 400G D4. This is pretty much strictly rollers and maybe a really high anti-flex shot over on a big hole. But this is a really flippy disc. When I throw rollers, I start it out here and it'll come over and get down and start going. I really enjoy the D4. This has made rollers pretty easy. Then I'll go to my 400 D1. I don't throw this back in too much. This is my long distance forehand disc. It's pretty glidey and it turns quite a bit. So I like playing long S forehands with this one. And it's pretty good in tailwinds situations. Then I got a 750 X2. And this one is pretty overstable right now. I've been beating it up. It's pretty much backhands only, but it's right in that second most overstable driver spot for me. So I've really been trusting it into some headwinds and throwing it on some big hyzer shots out here at the Milo course. Then I got a D1, 400 D1. This one's just, run-of-the-mill 400. It goes pretty straight and it flies pretty far. And it's in the bag in case one of my, farther flying D1s or one of my go-to D1s just kind of gets lost, or I have to re-tee or something along those lines. So I like that one. This is my 400G D2. This is a pretty domey D2 and it's also very flippy. If I think that my D4 is a little too flippy for a roller, I might attempt throwing a roller with this one or another big over-the-top anti shot. This one's got a lot of glide and a lot of flex to it, but it is also pretty flippy, so I can't crush it. Then I got my 400G D2. This one's real flat. This is my workhorse for the most part, especially out here at Milo. Throw this one with a little bit of hyzer, it'll get up to flat and just ride. I might be able to get it to turn a little bit, but this is the workhorse right now. I've been working this on most of my long shots out here at Milo, so I'm throwing that one this weekend. Then I got another 400G D1, compliments of Will Shoestrick, and this one is probably the most overstable D1 in my bag. This is what I use for any type of headwind shot or long flex shot. This one never lets me down. It always comes left, and it's a really good run of D1. And last but not least, I have another Domi 400G D2. Unlike the other Domi one, this one isn't quite as flippy, so I still throw long air shots with it. This is probably my furthest flyer when I throw it correctly, just because of the dome. I think it just holds it up in the air a little bit more. But similar stability to that other green D2, but it seems to just hold and rise a little bit more. But that's my 400G D2, and that's what's in my bag and what I'll be throwing this weekend out here at Milo MacGyver. So thanks for tuning in and watching, guys.